And welcome everyone to this session on intermediate Zoom. We'll be looking at some of the less commonly used but very valuable features of Zoom that we don't always have time to cover in an introductory class. I'm Dave Gibberson. I know most of you, but just in case there's some new folks here, I'm a retired instructional design coordinator from the online learning pathways at the district. I was the senior instructional designer over there. Now I'm just a senior living in northern Idaho, as you can see behind me here. That's a live view out my back window here. So it's wonderful to get to come back and talk to you all, see everyone. What other social life do we have right now, right? And we don't even have to wear masks. So welcome this morning. Let me go ahead and share my screen. I'll be doing that much of the day. Zoom's superpower. And I have there is a setting in Zoom that you can use to allow you to share your Zoom windows and Zoom menus and so on, the host menus, with your participants. If you're trying to teach people how to use Zoom, it's a tremendous benefit. It can be a little awkward in ordinary meetings, but for this, it's great. So the first thing we're going to take a look at is just our outline here for today. It looks more extensive than it really is. Our principal topics today are going to be Zoom breakout rooms, polling, virtual backgrounds, everybody's favorite, and live streaming, how you can stream your Zoom meetings to basically an unlimited number of people anywhere in the world who don't have to have Zoom accounts or even know anything about Zoom. All they have to know is how to get to a YouTube video. And that can greatly increase your reach that way. But we'll start out talking about breakout rooms. And let me bring my Zoom window back in here so we can see that. And yes, I believe I am sharing my screen. Let me get this. This, of course, is your sharing control bar. It looks a little different when you have the setting activated to share your Zoom windows. It's a little less extensive, but it is always available to you when you're sharing your screen. That's, of course, how you stop the share when you're done with it. But I'm going to pull that off screen so it doesn't interfere with our recording or with you seeing what's going on here on my screen. All right, first thing, of course, you have to do in order to use breakout rooms is you have to enable that option in your Zoom settings. Probably you'll see this icon down here at the bottom of the screen, the little breakout rooms icon. But if you don't, you can go to your Zoom account at zoom.us, the Zoom website, and sign in with the credentials provided to you by the Confer Zoom folks. Confer Zoom accounts are just ordinary Zoom Pro accounts that are paid for by the State Chancellor's Office. They're a group of Zoom Pro accounts managed by CCC Confer over at Palomar College. And but they're ordinary Zoom accounts, so you can access them and manage them through zoom.us, the Zoom website, like you could any other Zoom account. And you can go to settings here in your Zoom account management screens that you get when you log in at the Zoom website. And we got to find breakout rooms. This is an extensive set of settings. So I'm going to search for breakout to save you watching me search for that. by scrolling up and down. It's about halfway down the list here. And here it is, breakout room. And you just need to make sure that breakout rooms are turned on. And if you want to be able to assign participants to breakout rooms in advance, if you have already know who's going to be in your meeting and so on, you can check this option, which is checked by default. But this will turn on breakout rooms and give you that little icon at the bottom of the screen that we saw. So to start with breakout rooms, of course, you just click on that icon. And you can create breakout rooms in two ways, automatically and manually. Automatically allows you to just create a certain number of breakout rooms and have Zoom randomly assort your attendees between those breakout rooms. That may or may not work for you. Typically, of course, breakout rooms are used in Zoom to provide a private meeting space for a subset of your attendees so that they can work on some sort of project or discussion or whatever among themselves, and then come back to the main Zoom meeting room and report later on as the typical use. That's the virtual equivalent of turning the desks in your classroom into little clusters and segregating your students from one another and having them work on something, and then later on just bringing everybody back together and talking about what they were doing when they were in their little clusters. And you can just have Zoom assign people automatically and randomly to a selected number of rooms, or you can do it manually. By assigning people, specific groups of people to rooms. Let's see how each works. I'm just going to go manually, and we've got 34 folks in here. That's great. So if we want 3 or 4 people per room, we need about 10 rooms. That's a lot, though, to manage here for right now. So I'm going to do it maybe, let's do 5 rooms. And then to create the rooms, I just click Create Rooms. And this tells me who has been randomly assigned to each breakout room. I can move people to a particular room if I decide, well, you know, I don't know if Ardith and Sharon are going to get along or not, so maybe I better separate them. So I can move Ardith to another room and so on if you need to do something like that. Optionally, let me recreate the rooms. I can do it manually. And now I've selected 5 rooms to have, and I can assign people manually to each room. I get a list, and when I click the assign button here, and I'm assuming you're all seeing what I'm talking about. Most of you know that to let me know immediately. Please let me know immediately if I'm saying something you're just going, what the is he talking about? Please let me know. I appreciate it. You know, you get to my age and sometimes you're not entirely situationally aware all the time. And then I can just pick people to load into a particular room. And I can always change my mind by going back to the Recreate Rooms setting. And let's see, and I want to do, I'm just going to do this automatically. And I'll recreate all rooms. Now, the breakout rooms aren't active yet. I've just set them up. Again, you can do this before, I mean, if you know who's going to be in a particular meeting, people have registered for the meeting in advance, you can set this up in advance. But with my meetings, I never know who's going to be there. So I just, if I'm going to do something like this, I'll just do it I'll do it just at the beginning of the meeting after the attendances settle down. And as new people come in, they show up as being not assigned to a room, and I can always drop them into one. Once you have set up your rooms, you have some options that you can take advantage of. One of those options is to move all participants into breakout rooms automatically. And that means that when you open the rooms, you see the open all rooms button down there. When you hit that, if this option is set, everybody goes into the rooms, is dragooned right into the rooms. They're pitched right over into their breakout room without any dialogue. If you don't check that, people get a little message that says you've been assigned to such and such breakout room. Click join to enter the room. And then you just click join and go into the room. Or not. You have the option to stay in the main Zoom room if you decide to.
Which do you usually use?
I like, well, for demonstration purposes here today, I'm going to throw everybody right into the room because then the breakout rooms are active immediately. I don't have to wait for, if somebody's doing something else, the phone just rang or something like that. I don't have to wait, or the people that are going to be in the room with them don't have to wait for things to fill up. But that's surely it would vary from situation to situation and by personal preference. If you want to give people an escape from the breakout room, you can have this box checked as well. And that will allow them to jump back into the main room at any time. Or if you uncheck that, they're stuck until you close the breakout rooms. As the host, you close the breakout rooms. They're stuck. You can set a time limit on the breakout rooms if you like, or you can close them manually as the host. If you set a time limit, obviously, the breakout rooms will automatically close, and people will get a little countdown. They'll get a warning. So, well, the breakout rooms are closing, and there will be a countdown. And they'll have, a certain number of seconds to finish whatever business they were conducting in the breakout rooms before being unceremoniously dropped back into the main room. Or if you uncheck that, they'll just, when you close the rooms, boom, they're back in the main room. So just management options that you have on these breakout rooms. If you are in the middle of a meeting and you decide you need another room, another room in addition to the ones you've already created, you can always click add a room and get more. And when you're ready to use the breakout rooms, you just click open all rooms. Before I do that, let me describe a little bit about the things you'll be able to do in there. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to open the rooms. I have the option set to just drop you right in there. So you'll see a little graphic come up that says that breakout rooms are opening. And then suddenly the meeting will shrink. And you'll just see the folks who have been put into your breakout room. So it's like a separate little Zoom meeting. You'll have most all of the capabilities that you have in any Zoom meeting. Everybody will be able to share their screens. They'll be able to talk to one another. You'll be able to see one another in gallery view or in speaker view, as you prefer. And you can carry on a little meeting. You can collaborate. You have a chat tool that is just includes the folks in your breakout room. So you can share files and things like that. You can share screens. You can talk. Somebody can be dragooned into being a reporting secretary and can take notes and manage documents and things like that for everyone. So basically, you have most of the capabilities you have in any Zoom meeting. You can record locally if within a breakout room, but you have to record to your local computer. If you as the host are running a recording like I'm doing right now, if you record to the Zoom cloud, you get only the main room. Anything that happens in the breakout rooms, even if you join those breakout rooms periodically, is not recorded. So if you're doing breakout rooms, you're probably better off recording to your local computer if you're recording the session, rather than recording to the Zoom cloud, because you're going to miss any activity in breakout rooms. Let's see, any other caveats?
Can I ask, can you record?
You
like,
certainly may.
No, if you have 4 breakout rooms, are you recording all 4 of them?
No, you only record the one that you're in as the host. So as you can visit as the host, as I'll show in a minute, and I should mention that too. I'll be visiting each of the breakout rooms in turn just to show you how that can work. And if you're recording as the host, you'll only record the breakout room that you're in while you're in it. And then as you shift to another breakout room, you'll record in that one. But people within the breakout room can record what happens in the breakout room locally. You've got lots of capability. Yes, Brenda.
Yeah. If you do the manual close of the breakout room, does it still give the countdown?
It depends on whether this option is checked.
But if I have it, the bottom one checked, but I manually close it, they'll get a 30-second warning.
They will, yes.
Okay.
When you close the rooms, you won't get everybody back for however many seconds.
Perfect. Thanks.
And Dave, you said that the host can only record the rooms that you are visiting, but the participants in each break room can record themselves? Is that what I thought I heard you say?
That is what, yes.
Do you have to set that up in the Zoom US, Zoom US setting, or right there in the breakout?
No, that's a feature of the breakout rooms.
Oh.
Is that why we have a little record button here?
Pardon?
I have a little record button on my toolbar here.
Right, but you can't record the main meeting room unless I give you the right to do so. Right. The host controls that. But in breakout rooms, I believe anybody can record. Try it.
Okay.
Try it when you get into the breakout room. Let me know. That's something I actually haven't tried myself. I'm just going based on what Zoom says about the breakout rooms.
Dave, what do we click for? They just get dumped back to the host room, or they get a message?
This countdown after closing breakout room.
Okay. Thank you.
Great.
I have a question. Can I ask a question? Is there any way for the host to be present in all break rooms simultaneously?
Unfortunately not.
No. Okay. That's what I thought. Okay, thanks.
This is Laura.
Yes.
I had a question in the chat. But are there any situations where students in attendance will not show up on the list? Or is that just automatic?
Couldn't be. They might not get assigned to a breakout room if they came in after you open the breakout rooms. Mm-hmm. You might have to adjust that.
Okay.
But no, I can't imagine. I know of no circumstance that would cause an attendee to not show up.
Okay.
And be available to be put into a breakout room.
I have a related question. When she,
Yes.
what if someone shows up after the breakout rooms have already been formed? When you're the host and everybody goes into their breakout rooms, do you still see them in the gallery or not? And is that how you can tell someone is late because they show up in your host?
Yeah, I can, as the host, I can drop back into the main room at any time, and I can see in gallery view if anybody has entered. Also, they'll show up in these breakout room management screens as well that you'll still have access to. This is a separate window that you can keep open while you're accessing breakout rooms. And if you have a multiple monitor system, you can drag it off onto another monitor and keep an eye on it. So you'll be able to tell if somebody shows up who's not assigned to a room. But probably the quickest way would be to just drop back into the main room and look in gallery view, because anybody who's been moved to a breakout room should not be showing up in gallery view in the main room.
Excellent.
Okay. So, yes. Yeah, let's get on. I won't be able to answer questions for everybody once I start hopping from breakout room to breakout room. So let's get all these taken care of first. Go right ahead.
So once you break us into a room and you said we can record it, where does the recording go? Does it go back to the instructor, the host, or?
No, in order to record in a breakout room, you have to record locally to your local computer. So the recording will go to a folder in your file manager, in your default document directory. It'll go into a folder called Zoom, and there will be a subfolder inside that folder that's dated and timed with today's meeting. So you'll be able to tell which one it is. And the recording will be a video file, an MPEG-4 file in that folder, which you can then manually upload to YouTube if you want to share it, or you'll be able to play it locally on your computer.
So that means we have to kind of designate a student who can trust, and then if the instructor wants to see the recording, then that student have to send or share the link.
Right. Good point. Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
And Dave, is that even for students who are on their phones and not a computer?
No, actually, students who are on their phones can't record, and because they can't record to the cloud, and the phone will not take that. So students who are also, people can participate in breakout rooms from their phones, but if you as the host are on a phone, which I've had to do once or twice myself, you can't manage breakout rooms from a phone. Also, people who are on Chromebooks can't participate. Breakout rooms don't work for them. So that's a potential problem, because Chromebooks are all too common, particularly if you're teaching a class in a high school. If the class is
oh yeah,
that is an extension class, Chromebooks are real common in high school environments for students because they're inexpensive and they'll do most things very well, but they do have some limitations in Zoom. Though you can attend a regular Zoom meeting perfectly well on a Chromebook, and you can share your screens and things like that. Matter of fact, my wife, just before our meeting today, my wife was using the personal Zoom account we have to do a homeschooling session with my granddaughter in London. And the granddaughter was using a Chromebook and indeed actively conducting part of the session herself from her Chromebook. So they're quite capable, but there are some limitations vis-a-vis breakout rooms with Chromebooks.
By the way, Dave, I just discovered, because I changed the ratio of the size of all the galleries since it's so large, that I was able to take my mouse and there's like a little hand that shows up and drag it so that I could see, because like when you were talking, you were off screen and I just dragged it and was able to, so now I can see you.
Yes,
So
yeah, you can drag those little video chat windows
Yeah.
around on the screen by grabbing the top bar.
I have a
Okay,
question, a quick question.
go ahead.
If
Mhm.
breakout rooms are established and you as the instructor are in a breakout room, will you hear the ding as a late arriver arrives? You know, the little alarm that goes
That's a
ding
good
when they come
question.
in?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I
Okay.
assume so, but I'm not sure.
Okay, thank you.
Good question.
Want one of us to
And
pretend to be
I haven't seen any documentation on that
Oh,
either.
that's not true.
You want someone to be late and then show up and ding?
Yeah, I want to know that I have a late student that's in the main room if I'm
Right.
in a breakout room with other students, for sure.
This is
Yeah, that would be handy. I honestly don't know if that will happen or not.
This is Dee Dee. I get a visual cue, but not a ding. So I've
Oh,
never seen
good.
a
So you
setting
do get
on
a visual cue.
Yeah, it actually
Okay.
blinks that there's a new participant that needs to be assigned.
I think it's
Excellent.
so-and-so just joined the room or something.
Yeah.
Great.
But I'm being confused with, because they have, Blackboard has something similar too, where it does ding.
Okay. So let's go ahead and I'm going to open the rooms, and then I'll then have an option on my screen, which of course I won't be able to show you because you'll be in your breakout rooms, but I'll have an option on my screen to join each room in turn. I'll just have a little join button up here. And then I'll be able to drop in and just talk for a second in each case, just to illustrate that. I'll try to keep it to a minute or so in each room. And then I will close the rooms. You'll get a little message that the room is about to close and a countdown. And I believe I set that to 10 seconds. Yeah. So we won't have to wait for a long time to do that. So let's give it a try. All right, here we go.
Hi, everyone.
All right, now
Hello,
let's see.
Patty. Hello.
I do believe, yeah, we've got a few folks who are not joined. We're still in the main room because you all must have come in after I created the breakout rooms.
Oh, sorry.
So I'm just gonna assign you to
I've
one.
been here since the beginning.
Don't know.
I was here before you.
Don't know
Dave.
what might happen there. But I'm assigning you. Oh, let me show I can show that. Just at random here. Hope you find somebody you know there. Okay. And that takes a second. Okay. Okay. Here we are in breakout room number 1. And I was I'm able to jump in, join you. Any quick questions about this before I move on?
No, it's cool. I like it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And I am getting, you may note that I'm getting little messages from people. Is that you have a button there that will allow you to ask for help.
Mhm. Where's the
And,
button? On the bottom.
yeah.
Touch your picture with the mouse and it'll appear.
Or you could just click on the three dot with more, and then there's an ask.
Oh, I see over here. Okay.
Chat.
Yeah.
And
okay.
there's also an option for the host to send a message to all breakout rooms. That's about the only way you, as the host, can communicate to all breakout rooms at one time. You can't be in them all at one time, but you can send a message that will go to everyone. And I'll try that here in a little bit. But in a moment here, I'm going to go ahead and jump to the next breakout room, and I'll see you all in a few minutes back in the main room. Okay. In the meantime, just have some fun. Try some.
Okay. Bye, Dave.
Hi, Dave.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, there's Dave.
Oh, look at that. Now it's being recorded when Dave pops in.
We can't get it recorded without your permission.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's
But
why I was asking Dave.
We were playing.
I am allowing each of you to record if you want to.
Nice.
Well, thank
And
you.
multiple people can record
Oh.
just by right-clicking on your tile in
Oh, I didn't like it.
Oh, there we go. Oh, that's great.
Tile.
So
And
Dave,
because it's a local recording, it doesn't use any Zoom resources or anything like that. So any number of people can do it at one time.
So Dave, whatever you just click, is that only for our group, or is it active for all the other groups also?
That's just for, that's person by person. I have to activate that. I should have mentioned that earlier. If somebody wants to record, you can.
Oh, I am recording.
Yeah. So we could all record.
Yeah.
So if they're working on
Because
a
you're
project,
recording
they could all
locally.
record.
Oh, wow.
Because you're recording locally, you're not using any, nothing's going across the internet. It's just going
Well,
to
that's
your
going to
local.
help protect each other in the breakout rooms. So maybe it's a good idea to get the students to do that.
Oh my
I
gosh.
didn't think of that. That's a
If
great
you
idea.
if you right click,
Monitor 'em.
if you right click, you guys, if you right click on one person, you can actually send them a private chat without having to go to the chat box. I love that.
Oh, right.
Oh,
That's
really?
It's a private chat. I love that.
Well,
That's
keep
awesome.
How did you
playing
do
with
that?
it. I'm going to cycle through the rest of the rooms,
Okay.
and then I'll.
Can you do
I'll
that
send-
with Mac also, though? Because with Mac, obviously, I don't have a right-click button or
Oh,
anything.
sure.
Command click.
Oh, command click. Oh.
Well, can't you just go to the corner of the little picture and then
Maybe.
Dave, before you go,
Who's recording us? That's cool. No? Huh. Yeah, in math, it was the same situation regarding cheating. I would give a problem and people would come back with some incredibly unique ways of solving it. I mean, ways that I haven't taught.
Does
as soon as
So he gave us- oh, here he is.
you guys design the
Right.
particular activity, it's up to
Hi,
you how
everyone.
you craft it in advance. You can share
Dave.
exactly that one particular exercise to the 4 or 5 students in one sub meeting room, breakout room.
Magda?
What I checked with you working with me is the fact that we can assign the sharing of the screen for those breakout room participants. They
Magda.
can share not only with us as
Hi, Dave.
monitors,
Hi,
instructors,
Dave.
Hi
they
there.
can share among themselves to
We
exchange,
were
to figure out the
Please, we were
solution.
trying to.
sorry to interrupt.
and
We were
weren't able
wondering
to.
how to record
Please
when we
In
are in the
order to
breakout
record,
rooms.
I have to give you the right to do so. I have to come into the
Okay.
room and do that. And I can do that by just right-clicking or command-clicking on your image and gallery view and allowing you to record. I just did that.
And I can see
And
the
any
record button
number
now.
of you, I'll just do that for everybody. Any number of you can record because you're recording locally.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
it
yeah.
doesn't put any
I'm recording now.
strain on the system or whatever.
So you
So
have to be
Dave,
in the room with us, or can you do that before you have the breakout room?
As far as I know, I have to do that once. Actually, I believe I can do that before I send you the breakout rooms. So if I
Okay.
know that you want to record in advance, I can give you that right. Of course, that gives you the right to record the main room as well. But,
but Dave, does you have to give it to individuals? You have to click on their pictures or their child?
yeah, I don't know of a way to give it to everybody. at
Oh,
once.
okay.
They, you know,
Yeah, well, I'm
that
able to
would be
record,
an
so-
obvious security risk. So they don't give you
Right.
that capability.
Right.
Okay.
As
If
far
I
as
may,
Anyone else
I
want
was
to?
wondering also how, what's the difference between recording to the cloud or recording to your own computer and the pros and cons?
Well, of course, in breakout rooms, your only option is to record locally to your local computer.
I know, but in the gallery.
Generally, recording to the Zoom cloud is the default behavior in Confer Zoom accounts. You indeed have to turn on local recording if you want to record your main meeting to your local computer. It gives you a little bit more control. That gives you a little bit more control over your recordings. They don't go up to a cloud that you don't have control over.
Much control over.
And it allows you to edit the recording if you want to before posting it, if you have a video editor available. And there are certain options you have in terms of providing access to the recording. If you record to your local computer and manually upload it to YouTube, which is very simple, you have some options like embedding the video in a Canvas page. It's a more attractive presentation. You can't do that with a recording that's in the Zoom cloud. Also in the Zoom cloud, you have some limit to the number of recordings you can put up there, but it's so large. They've increased it recently, so it's so large that's unlikely to become a factor anymore. And of course, with YouTube, it's unlimited. You can record you can store as much as you want on YouTube with no additional cost or no cost at all.
Okay, so Dave, so I teach a speech class, so I would like to give students individually the option to record themselves for their own speeches.
Right.
So is it possible for more than one person to record, like one side, or do I have to like individually?
Yes.
Oh, here. Or
yeah, as long as they're recording locally in a breakout room, any number of people can record. All of you could record right now simultaneously, and it wouldn't break the meeting.
Okay.
You can also take that back at any time if you think.
So you said right click on or right click on their picture or on their tile?
Correct.
Who is recording? I'm recording.
As the host. As the host.
Okay.
Right. Right.
Okay.
You have to be the host to have that capability.
Is there a way to make one of the group members in the private room a leader? For instance, a lot of times all the students will talk at once. Some students will be irritated by that, and there can be frustration, and they're like, where's the teacher? Because I need her to help with this. Is there a way to allow one person to mute other people, or
there does not appear to be.
Fantasy.
You could, before you send them into a breakout room, though, you can make them Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry about that. Turn off the ringer. And that one too. Okay. Sorry about that. Before you send them into breakout rooms, you can make people, you can have any number of co-hosts, and that will give them that capability. Before you send them in the breakout room. And you, again, you just right click on their, in gallery view, you just right click on their tile, and there'll be an option to make them a co-host.
Great, thank you.
Good question. Okay, I've got one more breakout room to get to, so we can get back and move on to something else. So
and Dave, I'm gonna leave and then go into the main room and see if you hear anything or see anything when somebody arrives late, if that's okay.
Yeah, okay. I think I left you that capability. Try it and see.
I'll try it. Okay, thanks.
Oh, that was sample late.
With social distancing, I'm going to have 2 classrooms, not 8.
Dave caught us.
I only have 16 students, and it's condensed the course from a 16-week to an 8-week. So that's why we're meeting 3 hours, really 12 hours per week.
And it looks like everyone left this breakout room and went back to the main room. So I'll jump back there.
Yeah, he is out. That's very, very difficult.
So it looks like everybody left breakout room 5 to get back to the main room.
I can imagine. yeah. So that's why it's like I am so desperate to go back. Right. Yeah. Gosh, who knows when though, right? Because our ESL students really, they just connect with the instructors, you know. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, well, I wish you the best. Hopefully, thank you. Yeah, I'm excited. Get out of the house because I work full time. I work in biotech industry too, and I work full time from home.
I feel like I'm listening in on a conversation I shouldn't
Get out of the house for 9 hours. Yeah. Well, you probably will be wearing masks and everything. Yes, well, masks. Yeah, social distancing. I got to really. He's closing us out. Oh, yeah, 5 seconds. Okay. Nice to meet you.
All right, that was exciting.
That was fun.
My dog is coming.
All righty. So, yeah, it is rather fun. And it's easy to do. It works quite well. I had a little chaos going over there. Breakout room 5 figured out how to go back to the main room. we're having a high old time in there. I did not get any notifications that had happened until I brought up my breakout rooms window, and I suddenly saw there were a bunch of people that were not assigned anymore.
So were they late people?
Pardon?
I know one person in our group volunteered to leave to see what would happen.
Right, exactly. So that works like a charm. And remember, that's an option that you have. You can control that as a host if you like. If you uncheck this, people are stuck in that breakout room until you as the host let them out.
We're not seeing it. We're
not seeing it, no. You're not sharing the
I'm
screen.
sorry, I'm not sharing my screen. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Dave?
The screen share got canceled, of course, when I went into the breakout rooms. Okay, now I am. You do have this option to uncheck allow participants to return to the main room. So you can immure them in there if you need to. And I trust everybody saw that message I sent.
Yes.
You can, the only way that you as the host can communicate to all breakout rooms simultaneously is to send a text message. And when the breakout rooms are active, there's a little option down here to broadcast a message to all rooms, and you just get a text box and you can type it and hit and send it, and everybody in all the rooms will see that message.
Can you show us that?
7 seconds.
I can't. Unfortunately, I can't because the breakout rooms have to be active.
Okay.
Mr.
And,
Dave?
then I lose you. So, but yeah, it's very obvious. There's a message. There's a button at the bottom of the screen that says broadcast a message to all rooms. You just
Mr.
click on that.
Gibberson?
Yes.
I was wondering, I sent a text chat in our breakout room. Can everyone see from breakout room in the big room too? If you can, then it's not private.
No.
I just said hello from our breakout room.
Nope.
So it is only in the breakout room.
It's only in the breakout room. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a private chat.
Interesting. All right. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, so that makes it even more.
So if the student needed the instructor in the breakout room, we wouldn't be able to be notified.
Yes, there's a button, as a number of you found, there's a button where you can ask for help from the host, which shows up no matter which breakout room the host is in, that shows up.
Okay.
Or if the host is in the main room. So there is a way to call for help.
And Dave, I left the breakout room and got out of the whole Zoom, came back to see what happened when I arrived in the main room. And actually I got popped into one of the groups and I think they were hearing feedback from somewhere else, and the feedback wasn't in my space. I'm not sure if they heard it throughout, but I went in 3 times. So I'm not sure if that happened because I came in late to the main room.
I
and
doubt it.
Threw me
I doubt it.
into one of the rooms. So, and I was
That
in.
was more likely just something that was happening. And unfortunately,
separate.
yeah, there it is right now.
Okay. All right.
And unfortunately, you can't mute that from there.
Okay.
So that.
So that's
can
what
be a
happens
problem.
when you have a late student. They get tossed into one of the groups.
No, I think I did that manually.
You manually put me into the same group 3 times?
There were people, when the breakout rooms are open, if I scroll up and down, if anybody is not assigned to a room currently, I can assign them.
So you had to do that 3 times. Sorry to be annoying.
I did it once or twice, yeah.
Okay.
Anyway.
All right. Thank you.
But no, you would not normally.
You were super fast.
Yeah, I was doing that while I was talking to somebody.
Dave, I have a question.
Yes.
Could you show us how we, like, instead of you going to our group and then give us permission to record, could you show us how you would do it in the main room? So when you assign specific student in each room, we cannot do that?
Same way. Just right click and allow. Allow record right there.
Could you please do that again? How do you get there?
Just right click or command click on the Mac on the person's little video window. Even if they don't have their video open, that's fine. But you just right click and select allow to record from the menu that pops up, or command click on the Mac. You have lots of other options as well in that menu when you're the host in the main room. You can ask someone to unmute themselves if they're chatting away and you're not hearing them. You can ask them to start their video. You can chat with them, send them a private chat message. You can rename them if a student has named themselves something silly or, God forbid, something obscene. You can rename them. You can make them the host. If I wanted to turn this meeting over to somebody, I can make that any one of you the actual host.
Dave, do it to me because I taped the
but I sort of lose control of things if I do that. But you can also make someone a co-host, which gives them most of the capabilities that you have as the host. You can allow them to record. There we go. You can assign them to type the closed captions. Somebody's really good on the keyboard. You can remove someone from a meeting. Hopefully that won't ever be necessary. If you remove someone from a meeting, they can't get back into that meeting, ever. They have to wait. If you start a new Zoom meeting in the same room, later on they'll be able to attend. But not
I remove people who come in as a phone number and won't identify themselves in the chat or verbally because I don't like unknown people in the room.
Absolutely.
And so I have
That's what
done
it's
that.
designed for. That's what it's designed for. Exactly. I'm not sure. Report is new here. Let's try that and see. What do you? Oh, I want to do that. You can report misbehavior. I didn't do that, Lori. You can put them back if you're using a waiting room. You can drop them back into the waiting room, and you can also hide everyone in a gallery view that doesn't have their video turned on, which I don't want to do.
Oh.
But those are all options that you have in gallery view.
Dave, back on the chat feature.
Yeah.
Did you know if they have, you know how when you do private chat, the student can do private chat among themselves? Have they created a feature where only the instructor do private chat with student and not student to student? Do you know?
Don't believe there's a way to restrict that in that manner.
I think it's in the security button, isn't it, Dave?
You can prevent people from using chat at all.
I have done that. I've made it so that any attempts at private chat between students are all public. And so that, because I don't want cross-talk or, you know, other little conversations going on, they can still privately talk to me.
Right, there is a Zoom setting that you can do before you start a meeting that will allow you to prevent that.
But then you cannot do private chat to your student, correct? Like sometimes I give tests and I monitor them on Zoom. I have students ask me questions privately, so I want to keep that private chat on. But then, as a consequence, student can do private chat among themselves, though, right?
Yeah,
No, beforehand, I think you can set it up in your
settings.
settings.
There is a setting beforehand that will prevent participants.
So they can't talk to each other, and you and they can privately talk back and forth.
Oh, that's great. Okay, I will look into that. Thank you, Margaret.
Yeah, that's in your Zoom settings at the Zoom. You have to go to the Zoom website and go to settings and find that. And
Okay,
it's just look for chat options in the settings.
Great. Thanks, Dave.
Thank everybody for that. All right. So breakout rooms are fun. They're easy. They work. And it's something that your accounts have access to. All right, let's see. Next, we're going to talk about polling. Polling is also something you have to turn on in your settings. If you don't see this little polls icon at the bottom, just go to your zoom.us website and look for the option to turn it on in your settings. It's easy to find. Let me click the polling icon. And I have, if you make polls, Zoom will, in your personal meeting room, Zoom will keep them and you can reuse them over and over again. But I went in before this meeting and cleared out all the old polls that I had created in my personal meeting room so we could start from scratch here. You can have multiple polls, and each poll can have more than one question in it. And they're usually just survey type questions, multiple choice or multiple answer type questions. When you click polling, you get, and you don't have any setup, you get this screen that allows you to set up your first poll. You can edit the name of the poll. And when you do that, it brings up your, sorry, I twitched. it brings up your Zoom website, and you can enter a title for the poll. It's still August, isn't it? 7/31/20, or it's still July, I should say. And save that. Okay, and let me go to poll again. That should update here in a minute. Okay, so I'm asked to add, I have the option to add a question. Got to get that out of the way so I can show you this. Okay, let's give it a title. I can make the polling anonymous if I like, or not. And I have my first question available. This is a little bit like making a quiz in Canvas. I can type my question like, what tools do you use in your online course? And I can restrict people to a single possible answer, a single answer, or multiple answers. So in this case, it would be appropriate to let people select more than one option. Or in other cases, you may want them to pick one. And then you have a series of possible answers, and you just type those in, like Zoom and Canvas. And what are some other things you use? Technology tools.
YouTube.
YouTube. Great. How about another one?
Facebook.
Facebook. Twitter. And you can just keep going. You can have up to 10 answers. We'll just leave it at that. The I can then save this, or I can add another question to the poll. Let's see. How often do you contact each of your students? Having a problem with the space bar on this keyboard. I got to get down on the floor and change it out. And this would be maybe a single choice, like today. That would be extreme. Once a week. As needed. And there you'd be restricted to a single choice. Once you finish with all the questions you want to add, you just save the poll. And pull the Zoom window back up. And then when you go to polls, that poll is there. And as the host, you can launch the poll. I'm going to do that and ask you, give you a couple of minutes just to tree it, or put actual data in there, and we'll be able to see how that works. Okay, you should be seeing the poll.
We are.
You want us to take it?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
Just so you can see how this works. Let me try to put this up where you can see it. You can, as the host, you can see the data coming in real time. Yes.
If you want to ask only one question at a time throughout your Zoom presentation, how do you do that? I don't want 10 questions to show up.
Right. You just create multiple polls.
Okay. Thank you.
There's a button to do that, and each poll would have one question. Yeah, that's a pretty typical way to do it. All right, and when the allotted time has expired, as the host, you end the polling. You see the results. 97% on Zoom. That's cool. That beats Canvas. Nobody's using Twitter much. And when you're done looking at the polling yourself as the host, you can share the results with everyone. And now everybody should be seeing that. Oh my goodness. My background just zots there. That's my wife putting down the shades in the living room so she can watch the watch the TV. So let me change out my background here. More about that in a little while. This is related to virtual backgrounds.
I have a
anyway,
question.
Please,
I
if I know it.
I might have just missed this. When you said that the poll was going to close in the time allowed, was that something that, did I miss that clicking somewhere?
Oh, no,
or
I just,
that?
you just closed it. No, I just closed it manually.
Okay.
You just close it when you're done.
Okay.
I don't think there's a way to have it time out automatically.
Okay.
I haven't seen that anyway. If somebody else has, let me know. Some of you all have done this more than I have, so don't feel bashful about jumping in and sharing more extensive knowledge. And then you can relaunch at will. So it's simple, quick, and useful. You can also stop share results. There we go. And somewhere there is a way to save this. I'm trying to remember where that share results. No. Oh, that's on the website, I do believe. If I go back to get rid of that. In your personal meeting room, if you go down to polling, go to this poll. Well, I'm drawing a blank. I know there's a way to save that data. I'll have to look that up later.
Can you see who answered what? Like if you were given class questions, more of a class question, a review.
Yeah. Let me see.
I guess you could take a photo with your cell phone of the data and you'd have it that way.
Well, no, there's a way to save the data. I'm just not coming up with it right offhand. The data is aggregated. So, but when you do save the data, yes, you can see who did what, or unless you click that button to anonymize the responses when you created the poll. But well, let's pull that up and see. Google knows everything. Save polling data. in Zoom. Okay, enabling, creating, launching, sharing, downloading a report of poll results after the meeting. If registration was turned on, which I don't generally, it will list the participants' names. If registration was not on, it'll just show the profile names of authenticated users in the same account, which may or may not, that won't get your student names. Okay, so that you can only do that after the meeting is over, and you are limited in that if the participants were not registered for the meeting in advance, or if they were not authenticated users in the same Zoom account. In other words, by Zoom account, they mean the group of accounts. So if you're doing a meeting and everybody was using a Confer Zoom account, you could get the profile names of the people who participated in the poll. But that's not going to be the case with your students because they're not going to be authenticated users in the Confer Zoom account group. So this is not of great utility in our circumstances. All right. It would be nice. So, any other questions about polling?
Dave?
Yes.
So really, it's not a matter of typing in your answers. You have to actually select pre-made ones. So I was, like in Google surveys, you can actually have a question where they type their name in and you could collect their name like that, but not here.
Right, that is correct. And like in a Google form, you have much more flexibility in the type of data you can collect. Here, it's just picking an option out of a list.
Thank you.
So this is really intended as kind of a meeting activity and not as a data collection tool. Google Forms would be much more appropriate for that. And of course, there's nothing stopping you from sharing your screen in a Zoom meeting, bringing up a Google form and showing it to people, and then sending them the link to the form and asking them to respond to the form. And then you can pull up the data in your spreadsheet, the Google spreadsheet, and show it to them and so on. So you can certainly do that. It's just not built into Zoom. But Zoom is so flexible, you can basically share anything that you bring up on your computer screen with your students. It's another one of those limited only by our imaginations circumstances, which makes Zoom such an amazing tool. I've seen some incredibly imaginative applications of Zoom that I never would have thought of. So it's fascinating to see what people are doing with it. It has so many capabilities. Okay, polling. Let's see where we're going next. Everybody's favorite, virtual backgrounds. Okay, in order to show you the basics on virtual backgrounds, I'm going to need to go to my primary webcam here, which is just seeing me sitting in front of a green screen. That's the first thing about virtual backgrounds, of course, is what are the requirements in order for you to be able to key a background behind yourself that is not actually the physical background. It works best if you have a green screen behind you. And that's not out of anybody's reach. You can buy a green cloth drape of the appropriate color from Amazon for about $20 or less. that's big enough to work, and you just hang it behind you on a door or on a coat rack or something like that. Try to get it as smooth as possible, and it'll work. And you'll have a much better green screen experience. You are a much better virtual background experience. It also works reasonably well if you just have a reasonably featureless background behind you, like a beige wall or something is great. And that works almost as well as a green screen. But if you have a busy background where there are a lot of objects and different colors and so on, your virtual background experience is not going to be as good. And if you don't have a green screen, the process requires more processing power from your computer, because your computer has to do more to sort out the background. The obvious thing is just to try it and see how it works for you with your background and your surroundings. And to see if your computer will handle it. There are guidelines that Zoom publishes that says your processor has to be such and such and has to be this fast and so on. But basically, if you're interested in it, just try it and see what happens. So how do you try it? Well, you go to your Zoom host menus, which you all, I believe, are seeing mine right now, and go to the little camera icon in the lower left. That is your button that allows you to turn your webcam on and off. And right next to it, there's a little up caret that allows you to go to your video settings menus. Primary thing you can do in this menu is if you have multiple cameras, you can select multiple cameras. Probably you won't have a bunch. But there's also an option, assuming you have enabled this in your Zoom settings, there's also an option to choose virtual background. And when you do that, you get to the virtual background settings screen. You'll see what your webcam is seeing right now. And you'll be presented with a series of stock photos and some little videos. Actually, I think it's, there's about 6 or 8 that are just come as a part of your Zoom client when you join a Zoom meeting. So you can pick it.
Dave,
Yes, please.
May I ask a question? How did you get your green screen up there?
How did I get the green?
You had the shades come down before, so why is it green behind you? How did you do that?
Okay, when I started this meeting, I wasn't using my webcam. I was using a video setup that I have. I've spent a little bit of that. My wife let me spend a little bit of that money that I made doing these sessions to buy myself some video toys. I see a lot of smiles and nods. Yeah. And
now we know.
Yeah, and that was. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Right now, I'm showing you what you can do without buying extra video toys, other than a webcam and a green screen.
All of a sudden it popped. Thank you.
Yeah, right. So now I'm using, and my green screen is on a stand. Sorry. You can see that. And it's actually instead of a cloth screen, which you can have some challenges getting the wrinkles out of a cloth screen, it's a roll of like heavy butcher paper designed specifically for video backgrounds. And the webcam's trying to refocus. There we go. And it's just hanging on a support that's specifically designed for it. That whole setup cost me about $200, but it works really well. let's just say my wife was very happy about being able to move to northern Idaho. She'd always wanted to retire up here. So I leveraged that early on and got myself a bunch of toys. Oh yeah, I could see a lot of understanding looks there. And I was able to set this up. But you don't have to do something this elaborate. You can just hang that green drape over a door behind you and it'll work pretty darn well. Because the keyers have gotten amazing.
Well.
Yes.
Mine's Kathy. I'm the example when it doesn't go well.
Yeah, because you don't have a green screen, and B, the background behind you was fairly complex.
Exactly.
It wasn't simple. And what Kathy is showing is indeed what can happen. It's an interesting effect, but it probably doesn't give you the exact result you want.
Yeah.
So thank you, Kathy.
Thank you. That was a good example.
I like to do the bad example for you.
What's more common is when you're having problems, you tend to seem to emerge and then fade back and forth, in and out of the background.
Yeah.
And it works, but it's a little distracting. So the green screen really does work well. And if you do have a green screen, there's an option to tell Zoom that you have a green screen, and that gives Zoom some options that it wouldn't have otherwise in cleaning up your background automatically.
Hey, Dave.
Yes.
Well, what I have, you might be getting to this, so excuse me, but this is a photograph that I uploaded. So that's my backyard. Right. And
indeed.
So I just have a photograph. I didn't have a green screen or anything like that.
Right. And it's working pretty well.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So you just have to try it and see. Mm-hmm. Indeed, you get some stock images that you can use, like the Golden Gate is everybody's favorite, I think. And that's pretty. But you're not limited. And there's a little video too of the beach, and that's animated. I mean, that's an actual video loop that's playing in the background, and you can key yourself in front of that. You see the wind ruffling the fronds on the palm tree there. That'd be real nice right now. And with that breeze, you might even be able to dispense with your mask. But those are provided as stock, but you can add both images, pictures, and videos of your own by clicking on this little add button here. And you can add an image or a video. You just select one or the other, and it opens up a file manager screen on your computer. You can go to wherever you have your pictures stored, and we can pick a picture and open it, and that will add it to the to your available photos at the bottom, and it will activate it. So there's a tour boat on Lake Pend Oreille here in northern Idaho.
Can I ask you a question about that? My laptop says that it won't do this. Is there something missing, you think, on my laptop, or?
Probably your laptop does not have the required power.
Okay.
To do this. It takes a fair bit of processing power and a fair bit of memory to make this work, especially if you don't have a green screen.
Would it matter if I just put a picture up, a photograph like her backyard? Is that less power or not?
Yeah, that would require less than the video.
Okay.
So that might work. You just have to try it and see.
Okay.
But there are certain minimum processor and memory requirements to make this work at all.
Okay. Thank you.
And it will not work on a Chromebook at all. So I needed to get that in, though I don't think any of you all are likely to be using Chromebooks. So adding your photos is real simple. You can just take a photo on your phone and email it to yourself, and then store it on your computer, and then just load it into the Zoom client as I did. And the same thing with videos. It'll take just about any video of any length, and it'll turn it into a loop, a video loop, so it plays over and over again. So obviously some videos work better than others for this. Let me see if I can find something here that's not too long that will illustrate the process. How about the stupid dog video? Oh, I've already put that one in. Let me try something else. Something that makes some sort of sense. There's a little bit of community work I did for the community center here. So there's exercise video from the community center that I went down and recorded so that people could do their exercises at home. A friend of ours does that class. So you can add videos, just about any type of video file in there. And you can also add in as many backgrounds, images as you like. You can even do something like this. Put a PowerPoint slide behind you and interact with a PowerPoint slide in real time, and then just change the slide as you go on.
Hi, Dave.
So, yes.
I do have a green screen behind, but it's a green sheet like what you described, but it's kind of a fun.
I'm sorry? I think I lost the end of that there.
You're muted.
Hello?
You're muted, Kathy.
Can you see the virtual background I have behind?
Oh my. I'm not doing that, Kathy. You're muted again. I'm not doing it.
Can you hear me now? Sorry.
Yeah, now we see you.
All right. And so I had like you were talking about, a green sheet. And so I put up, but it's a dark green. And is it because my complexion is close in value to the green sheet? Because it is green, but it's a dark green, not green like your nice $200. This is just
yeah, no, it probably doesn't have anything to do with your complexion, but the that green screen is not smooth, so it's not lit evenly. That makes a difference. Also, you can select the color. There's nothing magical about that shade of green in terms of doing this. That's just the most commonly used color background for a technique called chroma key, which is what we're doing here, putting yourself in front of an image or a video that's displayed behind you in lieu of the color. It's also called remove a color. And you can use any solid color for that. The reason they generally use this color is that, except on St. Patrick's Day, no one would be caught dead wearing that color. Because if you're wearing that color and you enable a virtual background, large parts of your body will disappear. That's how they do the Invisible Man effects in movies. They dress the Invisible Man in a head to toe, except maybe with the eyes open or eyes visible, green suit.
Oh, wow.
It looks kind of kinky, but it works. And then they do chroma key. But there's nothing, this color is not magic. You can use pretty much any color. And you can tell Zoom which color to use by clicking on this little button, on that button at the bottom there, and you just move this cursor around and you pick an area of the background that you want to, that has the most typical example of that color, and you can improve your key dramatically that way by, again, it's this little button right here that has a little rectangle with color in it. You just click on it and select an area of the screen to pick the key color from. So you can adjust that. So Kathy, if you do that with that dark green, you should get a better result.
I don't have that. I have.
You have to click, I have a green screen to get that.
Okay, I have a green screen is checked. So should I uncheck it?
No, you should have that option.
No, I only have, like, I'll share my screen, if you will allow me.
Yeah, I'm sharing mine right now. Let me kill my share. Okay, now you can share.
Yeah, I only have these choices. And here it says I have a green screen. I mean, it's not that green.
We're not seeing your screen yet.
Oh.
I did for a second. Oh my God.
Okay.
There we go.
All
now
right.
It's coming. All right, yeah, bring that up where we can see it.
Can you see it now?
Yeah.
All right. So I only have these choices.
And I agree, mine are exactly the same.
That's mine? Yeah, I don't.
Is it because we're students now and not host? We're students.
Oh, right. That may be it, but it may also be the version of the client that you're using. Have you updated your Zoom client lately?
Yeah, but I only have 4. 3.
Dave, I have that option available. You just need to click on a picture and then click on the color. So you need to choose an image or a photo first.
Yeah,
and then
try selecting one, Kathy.
Okay, so I'll try the bridge.
There you go.
Right. It's much better in most of it, but the right, you could still see your plant and I think a bookshelf like, and it's not as good.
And then you could,
I was hoping that maybe if I were to get a green screen, but
right. It's just funny how it works.
Try selecting the color. Click on the rectangle there that you have
down below.
No, down below, the black rectangle.
Oh, okay.
It's being black, it looks like. Now move that cursor to somewhere in the green, the dark green right behind you.
Yeah.
And click. That helped a little bit.
It's a
We
little
see
better.
you quite well. The background's still bleeding through a bit.
Why is it all pixelated?
Well, it's trying to, that's an imperfect key. But if you smooth that drape out a bit and tinker with it later, and get a little more light on the background, that will probably make a dramatic difference.
Yeah, I think it's too dark in the background, that's why.
Yeah. So cool.
It is when I had the floral background, but still not. I'll work with it. But so it's not the shade of green. It's not smooth, and maybe a light would help. Oh wait, my hand is better.
Sorry about that. Yeah, that's right. The shade shouldn't really matter.
Because right here, my hand looks nice.
People often use this technique was originally done with blue screens. When they made Star Wars back in 1970, in the early 70s, they used blue screens instead of green screens.
Okay.
But of course, they had a problem with any actor who had blue eyes.
Oh.
You've seen that how they get those spooky eyes in horror movies where people's irises seem to just disappear. That's a chroma key technique. If you use a blue screen and you key out the blue colors and you use and the person has blue eyes, you get that spooky looking, like you're looking right into their mind or whatever effect. So there's all sorts of fun things you can do with this technique, but it's pretty simple, and with a little bit of and it doesn't even have to be a green screen or whatever. You just hang a bed sheet behind you. As long as it's reasonably smooth and it's a single color, it's going to work pretty well. So, let's see. Any other questions about this type of virtual background effect?
So I only had a few, but did someone say they had as many as you? Choices of virtual backgrounds?
Oh, well, you can have as many as you like. You can add more. You can
No,
to
no.
your heart's content.
Someone else said the same number, a small number like I did, but someone else said they had more that I need to update it or something.
You upload more, that's all.
You upload more if you want more.
Okay.
Your own pictures.
I thought I heard you say that you had automatic videos as part of yours, and yet I've never had videos on mine, ever.
This video right here came with it. If you want more videos, however, you can use any video that you happen to have, but there's also a site. I'm glad you asked that question because I was about to forget to show you this. There's a site, get this out of the way. coverr.co, which is supposed to be the top level domain for Columbia, but it's kind of been hijacked by people who can't get a .com account. They can make a .co account even if they're not in Columbia. And if I go to that site, he said, there we go. Cover is a free stock video site, and you can find free Zoom virtual backgrounds. And these are all video backgrounds. And they there's the Algarve in Portugal. That was the other place my wife wanted to retire. I can just click that, bring it up. I can download it for free. I do have to give them well, actually, I don't have to give them the email. I can put that in my videos folder.
Dave, if I don't have enough power, is that something that probably wouldn't work?
Probably not going to work.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. When you,
Yes.
before you're done, can you just show one more time how to just upload like a picture?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, so let me let's pull that back up and go to virtual background, choose virtual background. I can now add that video, and and the process is the same for adding if I want to add either a video or an image to this list that I want to put behind me, I just click this plus sign here in the choose virtual background screen and select add image or add video. Let me do the video first. And let's see where that one ended up. Trick is finding it. That's not it. It's taken a while to update the thumbnails. Oh, there it is.
It's in the third row, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, select it and click open. That'll upload it to my Zoom client, and there it is behind me. Pretty simple. Same thing with an image. You just click that plus sign.
Dave,
And, yes.
is there a Zoom site for free images that are not videos? Because that would be easier for us who don't have a lot of power in our computers.
Right. You can just go to Google Images.
Okay, that's what I do for my own computer. Okay.
Yeah.
Dave, I have a question.
Yes.
At some point during these workshops, I don't want to do it now because you're doing that stuff, but will you show us how we can show a PowerPoint presentation? When I teach face-to-face, I have a PowerPoint and I just click the slides and I talk to my students about it, about the chapters. You'll go through that. Okay, thank you. Whenever you're ready.
I'll show you that. I'll do that before we leave today.
Oh, thank you, Dave.
And remind me. Remember who you're dealing with here. Okay, so that's pretty much the standard virtual background stuff. Now, if you really want to get interesting with this, let me change my selected camera to my little video switcher that I've got here. And I needed to turn off that Zoom virtual background before I did that. Otherwise, strange things will occur, as you see. I just select none. Okay. Get set up there. Now I'm not using the Zoom virtual background feature. I'm using a little video switcher that I have attached to my computer that has chroma key capability built in. This is a semi-professional switcher that 4 years ago when I left some recommendations on some video equipment for the online learning pathways to buy, this capability cost about $6,000. The switcher I'm using right now costs $300 and it will do almost everything the $6,000 one would do 4 years ago. So that's how this technology is trending. I can put just about any video image behind myself. And this will work better. You'll be able to see this better if you go into speaker view, where you can see me full screen, because this is not a screen share in Zoom. This is coming just through my basic video signal in Zoom. So if you go to speaker view, the button is in the upper right-hand corner of your Zoom screen. If you move your mouse, it'll appear right up here, and you can go to speaker view.
Yeah, but it's not
where you see whoever is talking full screen.
And there's that slide bar. There's that slide bar, so you can actually shrink the gallery view that you're showing us and make your screen bigger.
Right.
Does that make sense? Some people are probably not seeing that yet.
But
No.
if you just go to speaker,
Can you do that again?
Yeah, you're in the upper right-hand corner of your Zoom screen. There should be a little button that's labeled speaker view.
Right.
And that's the default Zoom behavior. And in that case, you see whoever's talking. And it switches as different people talk.
So Dave, I think because you're still showing a gallery view on your end,
I am still sharing my screen.
They need to do that slide bar. You know that little slide bar that makes it move bigger and smaller? They don't maybe know how to do that.
Right. Right. But
you have
now
to hover
I've killed my screen share. So now it should be fine. If you just go to speaker view in the upper right-hand corner, you should see me full screen when I'm talking.
Yes.
Okay. So
and I used it in the classroom for a speech class, and so students could show themselves and share the screen to show their PowerPoint in doing it. So it works.
Yeah, but that's, and we'll get to that in just a minute. Absolutely. But here, and to show you what's going on here, I'm going to go back to my webcam for a second. Now this is just my standard webcam, because I can pick that up and move it and show you this is what the little switcher looks like. And I've got multiple video inputs going into it. And it's all high definition, so it looks great. For those of you who are into that sort of thing, the inputs are HDMI, high definition digital video. And I've got several inputs there. I've got a and let me turn the key off for a second to simplify this a little bit. And let me go back to that. That switcher shows up as a webcam. There's a USB cable right here that connects it to the computer, just plugs into an ordinary USB port. And then this switcher shows up to Zoom as just like any other webcam. And if I go back to that, then you can see that's the camera that used to be looking out the window, and my wife put the shade down in front of it. I've got a laptop computer sitting over on another surface here that is fed into it. So your video sources can include a computer. And I've got a camera that's looking at me, at my green screen. Cool. Which I need to adjust the exposure on. And then I've got a third input that I don't have anything in right now. So let's go to the computer since it's there. And I have the capability through the switcher to key one input over top of another. Oops, that was the wrong thing. Like that. So that's what the little camera in front of me, I'm being seen by the camera that's sitting in front of me, and the computer is serving as the background. So when you do this, you can interact with your backgrounds in real time, live. So if I go to, say, PowerPoint on this computer, I can bring up a PowerPoint presentation. And you can see what I'm doing there. Let me take myself out from in front of it so it'll be a little easier to see. Let's see, there we go. No, that's Picture Manager. Sorry, I thought I had that up already. Oh, wait a minute. I was using a yeah, there we go. A Google presentation. So I can present this. I don't care that my drivers may be out of date, thank you. And now I can put myself in front of that. And I can get up.
What's the name of it?
The name of the switcher is called an ATEM, ATEM Mini.
And where do we find it?
You can get it on, you can buy it on Amazon, though I had a hard time finding it in stock on Amazon. You can also go to B&H Photo Video, which is the archetypal, everybody's favorite video equipment site. And they sell everything from, consumer accessories to entire video studios for television stations. They're the most famous and well-known video supplier of video equipment in the world. They're based in New York City, but they ship all over the world, and they're very reliable.
Thank you.
V as in video, MH?
No, B&H Photo Video. B as in boy, and H. Photo Video. Here, I'll show you. Let's see. I got to think about what I'm doing here and what I'm on. Let me get out of this for a second.
And is it hard to operate?
Not at all. Getting it set up was a little bit of a challenge, but now I know how to do it. I can help. And there's some investment required. You can't use your webcam with this. So I had to buy a couple of little high definition camcorders. I got those used from B&H for like $200 each. And they're good quality Canon. And that's what is showing me. You're seeing me through the little Canon camcorder, and the background here is just provided from an old laptop. It's about an 8-year-old laptop, 10-year-old laptop now, and it works fine. So you don't have to have anything special there, but B ampersand H. B&H Photo, Video, Electronics, and Cameras. They started out selling still cameras, and now they sell video and everything else in the world. bhphotovideo.com. Right there. And any kind of video equipment you want. I did have a little bit of trouble finding this one in stock. I had to go to another supplier.
Dave,
If you're interested in this, pardon?
Could you bring up that camera so we can take a screenshot, please?
Of the camera or the
no, well, both.
Okay. ATEM Mini. This was where I was able to find mine at a place called the DVE store. And they do still appear to have it in stock. And they had it to me in 2 days. I couldn't believe it. I haven't seen performance like that in forever. So they were real reliable. Let me put that in the chat.
Dave, Sean,
yes.
The devices you're talking about, can't we just screen share and show a PowerPoint?
Yes, you certainly can. This is not necessary to show PowerPoint. This is necessary if you want to do some more interesting things that I'll show you in a moment. But yeah, I would probably want to go to just Google ATEM Mini, and you'll see some options to buy. B&H is incredibly reliable. Of course, so is Amazon. But I had good luck with the DVE store. For the cameras, which are little camcorders, let me show you what they look like. I don't want to spend too much time on this because I know this is something that not everybody will be interested in spending a significant amount of money on, but it is an awful lot of fun. Here's I'm sharing my webcam again. The little camcorder I'm using is right there. It's just a tiny little Canon personal camcorder. Got it for about $200. There's just tons of things like that available. And I got it used, and it works like a shot for $200. If you're interested in doing something like this, I can give you some more detail on that. Certainly. But come on, settle. There it is. So let me go back to the switcher. So I can do things like pull up that video or that PowerPoint and do it.
Now, do you have to stay in the picture, Dave, or could I do the PowerPoint without me in it?
You could do it, certainly do it without you in it, but you certainly don't need the switcher and so on for that. Then you just share your screen and pull up the PowerPoint. And I'll show you how to do that in a minute. I promised we'd do that. But you could do things like get up and walk around and point at it's just like the weather person, standing in front of the weather map. They're not standing in front of a weather map on TV. They're standing in front of a green screen. And the weather map is being keyed in behind them in the video signal. So you can talk about that. Then you can advance the slide. If you have a little presenter remote or something, you can advance the slide and you can point to the bullets as they come in and things like that. You can put yourself in front of a video that's playing. Like if I go to YouTube.
Or that exercise video you had.
Yeah, like that exercise video. or anything. I can put myself on the moon.
Okay, are you doing that without any extra equipment? Can
No,
we do
this
that?
requires the extra equipment.
Okay, that is nice though.
It's fun, and think about it. There are just so many amazing presentations you can do this way, and you can literally put yourself anywhere, and you can point at a particular crater that's coming in, or talk about they're looking at impact craters on the moon here, and there's Tycho, I think, and then you can do your own iteration. You can make your own videos. Yes.
That's with the ATEM mini.
You need the switcher for that, and you need at least one. You need a computer with a HDMI output. Most laptops have that now, or in a lot of desktops as well. It's a standard digital video output. And you'd need at least one video camera, not a webcam, but a video camera. So you're probably looking at a minimum investment of $500 to $600 to do something like this, but it's fun.
would an old video camera? I have an old video camera that looked kind of like yours.
Does it have it just needs to have an HDMI output.
Okay. I don't know.
Dave, I have a quick question since we are getting close to the end.
Yes.
Is the meeting being recorded, and where do we get access to this?
It is being recorded.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just leave that running, and I'll share my screen, because I'm not sharing my screen right now. This is actually coming in through something that Zoom is interpreting as a webcam, but I can share my screen over top of that. And these recordings are available. Let me bring up the web browser and find where I have that open. And I haven't forgotten about the showing how to do the PowerPoint just simply without any extra equipment. Let's see, don't need that. There we go, there it is. The recordings are available on our on-demand video site at sdccdolvid.org, and let me put that in the chat tool. sdccdolvid.org. Okay, that's in the chat tool. And yeah, I'm sharing this with you. There's a button at the top in the menu bar at the very top of the screen labeled Workshop Archives. And if you click on that, it'll bring up the Zoom recordings of these sessions going back 5-6 years. Last one I've got up there right now is from July 17th, or July 21st, actually. And I'm putting the rest of them up as I can. This one will be up there in a day or two. So you will be able to find the recording of this session there. Now,
Dave, where do we send
yes.
our students? I've been wanting to ask that. You know, when it's over and the student wants to view the session.
Your recordings, you mean?
Yes.
Well, it depends upon where you store the recording.
Okay, if it's in the
If-
Zoom cloud, for instance.
If it's in the Zoom cloud, Zoom will send the link, the access link to you in an email.
Okay.
And you can just put that link into an external URL link in a module in Canvas, or you can put it into a link in a Canvas page, or you can send them the link in an email or a Canvas message.
That would probably be easiest for me.
If it's on YouTube, though, the same thing. YouTube will, you can get the video link from YouTube and just put that in, link that into your Canvas course, and your students can just click on the link and then view the recording.
And if I save it to my computer?
If you save it to your computer, right? You can then upload it to YouTube, and then you can get the share link on YouTube. And there's a tutorial on this site showing you how to do that.
Oh, great.
But if you share it with your students, it has to be captioned, doesn't it?
Yes. But if you put it on YouTube or on the Zoom cloud, it will be automatically captioned.
Okay.
And let's see, YouTube. Let's see. There we go. Recording to your local computer in Zoom and loading the recording onto YouTube.
Thank you. Thank you.
You bet. And I'll put that link in the chat tool as well. That one's kind of self-explanatory. There it is. All right, but now to answer that question I had earlier, before I do anything else, I want to make sure that we go over presenting your PowerPoint presentation to your students, and also recording it as you're doing it, so you can make it possible for them to view it later. And all you have to do is start up your Zoom meeting and start the recording and bring up PowerPoint, which I have, nope, I don't have open, so I just need to find that.
Maybe you're going to say this, Dave, but one of my questions in the chat was, what's the best setting on PowerPoint? Because my students preferred the one where you could see the slide that was coming up next.
Right.
They didn't like
I like that. I like that too.
But they didn't like the big giant one. But in the one where you see the one coming up next, the slide that you're talking about as big.
Yeah, here's when you bring up a PowerPoint presentation, it will automatically go into edit view. And this is, I think, what you're describing. This is your edit view in PowerPoint. And you have the upcoming slides in a navigation bar on the left here, so you can move through them to edit them. But you can just display your PowerPoint presentation to students this way, by just bringing it up on the screen and sharing your screen in Zoom. And then if you use this strategy, you can just navigate through the slides by clicking on the slide thumbnails on the left. And of course, you can talk about each slide in turn. The students can see the slide quite adequately over on the right.
Dave,
yes.
If you use this, oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, I'd rather just have my students see the one slide and not see these ones on the side. I think it's confusing.
Well, and that's an option as well.
I have another issue in this view. I have that I can see from Zoom are taking up the right side of the slide you're showing.
Right. Yeah, you can minimize those. There's a little minimize dash in that, or you can close it entirely. Also, another thing you can do is you can, if you're the presenter, you can
the marquee.
No, you can resize your window either on the PC or the Mac, and so that you're not running part of the slide up underneath those little video thumbnails, because you have no control over whether those video thumbnails are being displayed to your students or not. They control that.
Oh, Dave,
So,
can you do the marquee or the slideshow so that you can see just that? Because someone's asking about not seeing.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's the next thing I want to show. Instead of showing the view in this view, or the PowerPoint presentation in this view, you can do as just the usual. You can go to slideshow and from beginning or from current slide. And the only issue with that is that if you have multiple screens, PowerPoint will automatically show or share through Zoom your presenter view of the slides and not the slides themselves. But you can change that under display settings by swapping presenter view and slideshow. And now you all are seeing just the slide.
Okay, what did you just do? I want to know that.
You go to slideshow in PowerPoint and select from beginning, or well, let's just go back to the beginning. And initially what it tries to, is, since I have multiple monitors, initially what it shares downstream in Zoom off my primary monitor is this presenter's view of the presentation.
That's the one I want.
Well, you probably want just the slide and not this stuff. Like here's the next slide showing it's going. Right. You don't want this other stuff. So what you can do to make sure that's what's going downstream is select display settings and select swap presenter view and slideshow. And that will bring the
main slide up.
So this is only an issue if you have multiple monitors. If you don't have multiple monitors, when you go into slideshow, they're going to see the slide full screen.
Okay,
and then you can advance the slides in the usual way by either clicking the mouse button or hitting the down arrow on your keyboard.
And we can still talk about it, right?
Oh, of course. And you can talk. You're hearing me right now.
I don't care if they see me, but I want them to see my slides and talk about them.
But in this view, the right side is taken up. The right side of the slide is obliterated by the Zoom windows.
Yeah, how do I get rid of those?
They can change that. You don't have any control over where those Zoom video windows are.
Yeah.
So that requires a little education of the viewer. When you're viewing a shared screen, as you are in Zoom, if you look at the top of your screen, you'll see a little button marked View Options.
Yeah.
If you click on that, you get a little menu. And there are several options about how the shared screen is displayed to you. And again, this is an option only you control. And there's an option for side-by-side view. Try that. And that will solve the problem of the video thumbnails covering up part of the slide.
That's helpful.
Oh, that's
Good. Good. You can also, as the presenter, if you're not presenting in full screen like this, you can just resize your PowerPoint window so that it doesn't use the portion of you're not depending on them seeing anything in the portion of the screen that typically contains those video thumbnails over here on the right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something you can do as a presenter to minimize the probability of that being an issue.
How did you resize the PowerPoint screen?
Just as you would resize any window in Windows, you go, instead of having it full screen, you use the middle of the three little icons in the far upper right, the window controls, to have the window just take up a part of the screen, and then you can grab the corners of the window with your mouse cursor, click and drag, and move that around, and you can change the size and the size of the window.
And if we want to remove the pictures at all and just see the slide, can we do that?
You can't. No, you can't control that.
Control that. Okay.
That's controlled by the viewer, not
Is that
by,
it's distracting? It's very distracting.
Yeah, that's something that the student has control over themselves through that view option window.
Seeing that?
What?
Is it on your computer that you're seeing little windows?
Yeah.
On my computer on the right side, I'm seeing pictures of people, which I think is distracting to the lecture.
Right, and you can't control that.
But as a student,
that's the
you
default
can.
Zoom behavior. The students, however, can remove that.
How?
Or select the side-by-side view under view options at the top
I
of the
can
screen.
get rid of them on mine.
You can also select speaker view as a student and make the little pictures go away.
Speaker view.
Well, but that won't affect the shared screens. That to change how shared screens are displayed, you have to use the view options menu at the top of the screen. And you as the host don't do that. The person viewing it has to do that. So that's and there's no way you can, let's see, can you turn those
I think got my ears.
participants?
Yes, Dave, because I did it in my speech class. But the host has to do it. Like the host has to give permission. Like, for instance, my students have to show their PowerPoints, and when they're sharing their screen, they can show just their screen, but I want to see their face while they're doing their speech.
Right,
But,
and you will by default.
Yeah. I think the fault is you can't do it. The students can't do it. You, the host, have to give them permission, and you have to give permission. Like there's a setting in because I always have to remember to do it each time. I didn't know if I could do it automatically beforehand because it is annoying because I forget something.
But what we're talking about here is how to control the display of those video thumbnail windows on the right, not giving students share capability or whatever, but how to control it. And that is controlled, but there may be a Zoom setting that prevents that from happening during screen sharing, but I'm not certain about that. I'll be happy to look at that a little later, but right now I want to deal with any last questions on displaying PowerPoint here. Basically, this is what you have control over, and sharing anything with your students is just a matter of bringing whatever you want to share with them up on your screen and then sharing your screen through Zoom. And they will then see whatever you see on your monitor. So it's a very, that's the underlying principle to all of this. That if you want to share a PowerPoint presentation with your students, just share your screen and then bring it up on your computer screen, and they will see whatever you bring up, including a PowerPoint presentation, but anything else as well. So that's all there is to showing a PowerPoint presentation to your students in real time and and in the process, hearing your narration of the slides. And if you're recording the session, that will also be recorded. And you can also obviously do this without having an attended meeting in progress. You can just start a meeting in Zoom with no one else in it, share your screen, bring up your PowerPoint and talk through the slides, and then share while recording that, and then just share the recording later. There doesn't have to be anybody else in the meeting. Yes.
Just a quick question. When you're running a class, let's say of 30 people, is it best to have questions asked through the chat box because you can't see everybody, like raising hands?
Yeah, Yeah, if you're one person presenting, it's difficult to keep up with the chat tool and with everything else going on. So
Yes.
you can have the questions put into the chat tool.
Okay.
And if you, you can save that chat, of course, and you can answer those questions later in another format. Or another
Okay,
form.
because raising hands seems pretty tricky when you can't see, unless you have a full screen, but if you're showing something.
Yeah, if you're sharing your screen, it can be tricky to see that raised hand icon.
Okay,
And
thank
you'll
you.
probably be sharing your screen much of the time. So that's a great way to use the chat tool, yes.
Okay, perfect.
And I will look for that setting in Zoom to see if there's any way to prevent those video thumbnails from proactively from appearing on the right side of the shared screen. That is a default behavior in Zoom, but there may be a way to turn that off. I can't remember.
You can pin one person at a time too.
Yes, you can pin videos, but when you're sharing your screen, that's not a factor. Pinning your video refers to your webcam video.
No. You can pin
webcam video.
Okay.
Yeah, that won't affect the appearance of those video windows over here on the right when you're sharing your screen.
Dave,
by default, students will see those video thumbnails. Mm-hmm.
Can you go to slideshow at the top there and click on full screen, and then could you just click a few slides to see if they go down? Go up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just slide presentation. Okay, and then you just click when you're through talking that, you go to the next one and then the next one.
Right. In this case, I've got animations built in, but yeah.
Yeah, that's what I like to do. That's what I'm hoping I can do.
You certainly can.
And that way it's not so distracting.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
You bet. So let me make sure I've got all those questions answered about that. And I will go look for that setting if you're interested to see if there is a way to prevent those video thumbnails for appearing to your participants. I just don't remember. But that's probably a fairly minor thing right now. So let's see if we have any other questions about Zoom. Let me kill my screen share and see where I am on the moon here.
Well, if no one's jumping in, I do have one last question.
Good.
I seem to get stuck. So sending out a Zoom invitation to my class that will be sent out throughout the semester for people that join late. I want to use my personal meeting number, but when I just sent one out this morning and it didn't include the phone numbers. So can you just walk through simply showing how to send out from your homepage a meeting invitation that then you could send out again later and it would include the phone numbers?
Sure.
Perfect.
Let's go to the, let me just go ahead and share my screen. That's simpler rather than jumping to the other computer. Okay, let's get PowerPoint out of the way for the moment and go to Zoom meeting settings. Go to meetings. Go to your personal meeting room. And there is an option in your personal meeting room to copy the invitation for your personal meeting room to your clipboard. And this is what that looks like. It has a little bit of information. It has the meeting room link for your personal meeting room, which never changes. But it also has the phone numbers you were referring to. So if somebody needs to use their telephone for audio because they don't have a microphone or they their speakers are not working or something like that, they can dial these telephone numbers to participate in the audio portion of the meeting. Okay. These, you'll notice, are not toll-free numbers. So somebody who doesn't have unlimited long distance is going to end up with a toll charge.
Now, it doesn't say anything on there about when the meeting is. Are you getting to that point?
No, in order to provide that information, you have to have either scheduled the meeting in advance,
So that's probably my bigger question.
or just post a schedule in your Canvas course on a Canvas page. Say, these are when our meetings are going to be, and here's the link.
Okay.
And the link will be the same for all the meetings. It's also not a bad idea to send out an announcement the day before or the day of,
Right.
with that information in it, and or a Zoom or a Canvas message through the inbox tool.
Okay.
To the entire class. You can't communicate too much in an online course. So tell them what you told them, and tell them what you're going to tell them, and so on. You just keep telling them.
Okay, so I would go to copy invitation, and it's going to include the phone numbers, and then I just paste that somewhere else, and
Paste that in a, yeah.
or an email, and I could then add actually when it is, and
Precisely.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Thank you.
Dave, I
Yes.
do have an answer to hiding, like people were asking about the video panel in view option, where it says Zoom ratio and it says show video panel, and also you can hide the video panel, and that way you don't have to look at the audience.
But that's right. But view options are controlled by the viewer,
right,
not by the host.
But you can tell students if it annoys them, but
There you go. There you go. You can educate your students about that view options menu that you see at the top of the screen, and they can control what they see. And that can make a big difference in how well they can see what you're talking about. I'm particularly fond of that side-by-side view, because there they get both the video windows and the shared screen, but they don't overlap.
Right.
But you know, that's personal preference on the part of the student, and you can't control that.
yeah, I do the first day of class by introducing to them, because like some students hate it, but I like to see all of it. Some students like to see, and you can also do one person speaking at a time.
Right.
But the question, yeah.
Yes.
But like I tried being your chat room, and it did 720,000 megabytes, but I couldn't open it because it, for some reason.
Dave,
Yes.
while you're here, can you show how to capture attendance?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
I knew I'd forget that otherwise. Thanks for reminding that. And yeah, Kathy, I don't know why you'd have trouble getting into the chat room.
No. I said I taped the chat room. You gave us permission, and
Right.
it saved it on my computer, but it did it at, and it says 720 megabytes, but
Yes.
it automatically saved it as a media video, but it wouldn't open, says no longer Windows 7, but I don't have Windows 7. So it's not, it didn't, I've filmed students before, saved on my computer, and I don't know the icon, but it looks like a record, but it didn't automatically save it as that icon.
It
So
should have saved it as an MPEG-4 video.
It didn't. So I got to convert it to that.
No, you shouldn't have to convert it. There's something else going on there. We need to take a look at that. But let me deal with this issue here of help me. Attendance. Thank you. Okay. How do you get attendance in your Zoom meetings? Well, you go to your Zoom account management screens at zoom.us, and you sign in as you. And in this menu over here on the left, you go to reports. And what you want is a usage report. So you click that. And the first thing you're asked to do is set a time frame over which this meeting took place that you want to get the attendance for. the default is like yesterday and today, but you can make that as much as a month in duration. So I'm just going to take it back maybe a couple of days. Let's see, maybe a couple of weeks, back to the 19th. So now if I search, it's going to show me all the meetings I've done from July 19th to today, July 31st. And there are total 35 total meetings, but a lot of them were just single person meetings where I was testing something out in Zoom. I can scroll down here. I see it has the information it has is, well, they're all my personal meeting room because I didn't change that, but gives the meeting ID, user that created the meeting, my email, my department group, and so on. But here's what we're really interested in: the creation time, the start time of the meeting is what we're really interested in, which that tells us which meeting we're dealing with, the date and time of the meeting, how long the meeting was, and how many participants there were in it. And these ones here indicate that that was just me playing with something. But here's 31 attendees. That was a real meeting. It was 175 minutes long. So it went for some time. That's one of my Zoom sessions, surely. And the number of attendees is a link. If I click on that link, there's my attendee list.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, isn't that a cool thing?
Wow.
So Dave, they don't have to register for the,
They do not have to register.
we automatically can get this.
You can automatically get that, and you can export it to a spreadsheet.
Wow.
What's listed there? Their actual, it can't know their real name if they have a fake name up.
No, it just uses whatever screen name they entered.
Right. Okay.
So if they put something odd in there, you're not going to know who it was. Though you will, if they enter their email when they enter the session, you'll get that. That's optional, of course.
Yeah, someone had
But,
like a fake name, I thought.
yeah, and you can see when they joined and when they left.
If we
So you can tell, like this person entered and left, but then she came back in.
Right.
She came back in and out multiple times, so she gets multiple.
Right. What if we wanted to capture some information about a student, for example, the student ID number in the program that we're enrolling in?
I'm sorry, the student's what number?
The student ID number. Let's say
Well, Zoom doesn't have that, so you won't get that from Zoom.
Okay, but I understand that if we have the student register, we can ask them that question as part of the registration. Let's say we can say, what is your student ID number and what program you're interested in? And if the students put that in that as they registered, it would come up in this report.
I don't know that it would, no.
You don't know?
I don't know that it would.
Okay.
But this is basically just designed to give you attendance, but it does tell you how long they spent in the meeting. So you can tell if somebody actually attended most of the meeting. If you're trying to take attendance, you can set some minimum duration that you'll accept and award credit for attendance accordingly.
So Dave, if we sign in, it clocks us in at a certain time, and when we sign out, it automatically clocks us out?
Yep.
Interesting, okay.
Big Zoom brother is watching.
Can you do that again? I'm going to write it down, how you got there.
How I got here?
Yeah, I watched, but I don't remember.
I went to reports.
Okay.
I logged into my account at the Zoom website, and in the menu on the left, I went to reports.
Okay.
And I selected usage.
Okay.
And then I chose the time frame over which I wanted to look at meeting attendance.
Okay.
You can do
That's
up to a
good.
month at a time, but you're not limited to the last month. I could have gone back to the beginning of the year. I can just do a month at a time.
Or a
But I
day.
can go back to the beginning of the year,
Or a day.
and it'll let me do as much as a month at a time. And then I can go back and get those attendances.
That's great. Thank you.
Oh, and to move between pages, because there were,
God bless.
Sorry.
Not at all.
So it's the name that's under our video that we gave. I saw someone who didn't have their last name somewhere.
Yeah, this is just the information you provide when you log in.
Okay.
And people don't have to provide everything.
Dave.
There's no requirement. Yes.
It's Randy. How did you get from the previous page to this page?
Well, again, I just went to the Zoom website.
Yeah, I got all that.
And I went to reports.
Right.
And usage.
Right.
And then I had to set my time frame.
Yes, I understand.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I have this information. This gives me the meetings that I've done in the last day.
Okay.
And
oh, see what's going on is the pictures of you and me are hiding that information. I can't see what you're doing.
Ah. Well, that's kind of what we were talking about a minute ago. I can make that a little easier for you by reducing the size of my window so that those videos don't appear over top of this, but then that cuts down the amount of information I can display at one time, but it does allow me to avoid having those. But you can close those windows or drag them out of the way so that you can see what's going on.
Okay, but what are you clicking on to get a list of the students that attended a given meeting?
All righty. What I click on, and let me adjust this because this meeting is not in this list yet because it hasn't finished. And I over the last day, I haven't done any other meetings with more than just me in it. So let me drop back to, now I'm looking at meetings between the 19th of July and today. And if I scroll down and scroll over so that I can see the right-hand edge of this table.
Did you have to press search?
Here are the number of people in each.
Don't you need to click on search?
Yes, it's search.
The search is what happens, is what you get when you search for a particular time frame. You can't search for anything else. And now here's a meeting that had 20 people in it. That's almost certainly a real meeting and not me just playing around. To see who was in this meeting that took place on the 23rd of July at 9, it started at 9:49 a.m.
Okay, you gave me the check.
To see the list of people,
put it in the
I
hallway.
click on the number 20.
Okay.
And that's what pops up.
All right. Now I got it.
Very good.
Also, I'm not sure if people understand how to slide that bar and make their, the gallery view and your screen share change size. Sounds like sometimes people are having trouble with that. You know, the little slide bar that you can do.
You have to hover over. I think you're right, because Margaret,
It's
before
like
I didn't
in
know
the
what
middle.
you were talking about.
Yeah, I know, and
you
it
can't
makes a
see
huge
it. You
difference.
just kind of have to hover
Yes.
around.
And then you left click and slide it with your other finger.
Right. So then you
Right.
have control over
Right.
making the pictures not cover, etc.
Right. Yeah, those things are sometimes more trouble than they're worth. But that's what I can't remember whether there's a setting to just turn them off from the host side, whether there's a meeting setting. And that's going to take some looking. I don't think I want to spend
I
the time.
just tell my students,
Yeah.
and then they move it so
Right.
that it works on their end.
Right. That's
See,
the.
we didn't know
that's
how
what
to
I-
do that, though. I didn't.
Yeah, you just grab the bar, the black bar at the top of the video thumbnails window, and you can click and drag it around the screen and get it out of the way. Or there's a dash up there in that bar that will minimize it to where it's just a little black bar.
Mm-hmm.
It really doesn't cover up much of anything.
Yeah,
So that's, but
one
that's
day.
something that the user has to do for themselves, that the participant has to do for themselves.
Right, but we have to tell them because they don't know how
And
to
you
do
have
it.
to tell them how to do that. I found that when I'm thinking about it, I usually just resize my windows that I'm sharing so that the video thumbnails will not be in the way. That also helps with the recording because otherwise they're in the way on the recording too. So that can be problematic.
Dave?
Yes.
I have a question. Could you show us like how to add the password or passcode and change it to add the security? Because like last 2 weeks, I didn't have any meeting, but then I got a message saying somebody's waiting. So little alert.
If you have your room set to join before host,
No, I don't have any class during the
you
summer.
don't have it set for that. I don't know why that would, but yeah, here's,
for security.
yeah, it's under, if you go to settings and meeting settings, you can require a passcode when scheduling new meetings. You can turn that on. You can require a passcode if you create an instant meeting. In other words, if you just start a meeting without scheduling it through Zoom in advance. It cannot be changed because I've got I use my personal meeting ID, but you can require a passcode for your personal meeting room.
Oh, okay, that's what I need, right?
Right there. And you can embed the passcode in the invite link, if you like, so that they don't have to enter the password separately. All they have to do is have the invite link with the passcode encoded in it. And you can require a passcode for participants joining by phone, though I think it normally does that anyway. And that's pretty much it. I don't like to do that, so I'm going to undo those. But that's, now to set the password, you set the password when you create the meeting, or if you're using your personal meeting room, you go to meetings, personal meeting room,
right?
And you edit your personal meeting room down here in the lower right, and that allows you to set a passcode. And when you set the passcode, Zoom will pick one for you by default, but you can edit it.
Okay. And that passcode will stay the same the whole semester.
It will stay the same until you change it, right?
Dave?
So that's how you set a password on your personal meeting room.
Dave?
Yes.
When you say embed the passcode, wouldn't that mean like not having a password?
Yeah, well, yeah, then if the link is shared by someone, whoever they share it with will have the ability to work to get around the password. So that almost sort of defeats the purpose if you embed the password in the meeting link and then publish the meeting link, then everybody has the password anyway.
Mm-hmm. And
so
also,
you may not want to do that.
I joined the meeting a little bit late, and you were talking about students. Students can record the Zoom meeting. You can give them permission to do that.
You can give them, if you give them permission, they can record the meeting, but they have to record it to it will record to their local computer.
Local computer, yeah.
And not
you
to
do
the
that, and you do that by right-clicking on their picture, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
See, I'm sharing my screen. So if I want to give Helen the right to record this meeting, I just right-click or command-click if you're using a Mac,
okay.
and allow record.
Record, yeah.
But I tried recording our chat room and I couldn't open it. So
I'm not sure what happened there. We'd have to look at that because it does work.
Okay.
So I'm not sure what might have happened there. We'll have to look at it.
And you can look at it?
Yeah, let's go ahead and let you share your screen. We'll take a look at that. I've stopped my share.
All right. Sharing. I'm going to go to my desktop. Okay, I should have set it up beforehand. All right, so I have it saved as a document. Oh, now I have so many things open. Okay. I had it saved under documents because it automatically went to my Zoom file in documents.
Correct.
But it's not the Zoom here. It's the one I had saved as documents now.
Yeah, you have to go into your documents folder and find the Zoom folder there.
Okay, I have so many things opened. Oh, here it is.
There you go.
Okay. And then scroll. You guys can see this, right?
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Looking for the Zoom folder.
All right, date modified.
Can you make it bigger?
Yeah. Well, first I'm trying to find it. Okay. All right, make it alphabetical.
Oh, what's that?
Scroll to the folder. Whoops.
It's going to be the Zoom folder. There it is.
All right, there it is.
It should have today's date on it.
Yeah.
It'll be the last one, most likely.
29/31. Okay.
There. Mm-hmm.
All right. It asks me to double click to convert.
Right.
And it's not, it says open with. Now, originally.
Okay.
It was originally on this Windows Media Player. That's what it was on.
No. Yeah, no, that.
And that didn't work.
No, probably it's not going to work. I see what you're seeing now. It's not going to work until you're out of the meeting.
Oh.
And then you should be able to double click on one of those files and it should just come up. You should get a window that comes up that says a recording needs to be converted. And a little blue bar will go across the screen. And then when it finishes, you'll have an MPEG-4 video file.
Okay.
Yeah, I forgot about that conversion process that you'd have to go through that too.
Ooh. Okay, so when it's over, it will convert.
Yes.
So I'll go to the same file because it's.
Yeah, it'll show up in that same folder.
Okay.
As an MPEG-4, a .mp4 or an MPEG-4 video file, which you'll then be able to play in Windows Media Player or whatever.
Okay.
You'd also be able to upload it to YouTube if you wanted to.
All right. So like if I was in a student group and I taped it, then I would be able to share it with my other people that were in that same chat room or the instructor or whatever.
Right, right.
Okay. I just can't show it now.
Yeah, and that's not going to happen until the meeting's over.
Oh, okay.
As a matter of fact, when the meeting ends, it may start converting automatically. I'm not sure, but it may. When I record locally, which I'm doing right now, when I end the meeting, Zoom automatically starts, the
That's
Zoom
right.
client automatically starts converting the recording.
Okay. I will test it out for everyone.
Please let me know how that goes, will you?
Okay.
Dave. Thank you, Dave, and have a nice lunch, all of you. I'm leaving right now.
Jose, thanks so much for coming.
Dave.
Yes, Randy.
Okay, I have a question about if I invite my students to a Zoom meeting, if I give them a link to that meeting, they don't also need a password, do they?
Not unless you deliberately set a password on the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
I don't recommend it.
You don't recommend what?
Setting a password.
Right, I agree. Because previously I have been the recipient and going to these meetings and they just sent me a password. I'm sorry, they sent me a link and I was right in when I used the link.
Right. No, the password is something that is set only if you deliberately do it. And you'd only do that in a case where there was something confidential going on. If you were meeting with a student one-on-one and you didn't want anyone else to hear what was going on by accident or whatever, you might set a password on the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Dave?
Yes.
I have a question, and I tried to get it in during the PowerPoint part, but I couldn't. I want to know, how can you draw when you're sharing the screen on a PowerPoint slide?
Cool. Okay. Let me share my screen again. And bring up a PowerPoint presentation. Okay, you're seeing just a little demonstration PowerPoint presentation. Now, since I'm sharing my screen, I have this little share control bar, which I usually keep off on another monitor so it doesn't interfere. But if you have a single monitor system, it'll be sitting at the top of your screen all the time you're sharing your screen. And there's an annotation button there. If you click on that, you can select draw and you get a little pencil icon.
Excellent.
Let me get this, I tell you what, let me get my Zoom window out of the way first. Okay, now I annotate, draw, and just pick, I can have a fine line or a thicker line. And now I can annotate this presentation. I can change colors. I can do anything I like.
That's what I needed. Thank you.
Very good. Cool.
And where's the things you can have students not do that?
Yeah. How can you stop students from doing that in case they are doing that to be disruptive? If you go to, in your share control bar, if you go to more, you can disable participant annotation.
Thank you.
Or my favorite, you can show names of annotators. So if somebody starts annotating your shared screen without your permission, you can figure out who it is. You can also disable participant annotation before you share your screen by going to the security. Oops, I need to kill those annotations with a clear all drawings there. There we go. Now I can go to the security link in the Zoom menu, and I can uncheck annotate on shared content. And that will stop won't stop you from doing it, but it will stop your participants from doing it. And if somebody starts drawing something on the screen and the favorite disruptive technique seems to be drawing genitalia on the screen.
Oh my God.
If you see that sort of thing happening, you can very quickly go to your security tab and just uncheck that, and that takes care of it. So that's why they put that security icon in, to give you a rapid access to some of the security protocols in case somebody starts trying to be disruptive. You
I
can
didn't see where that.
stop them.
Can you show us what that security tab is again?
Yeah, it's in your Zoom menus at the bottom of the screen. It's
Oh.
the third one from the left, just to the right of the camera icon. It's always there. And you can enable or disable all of these things very quickly. Screen sharing by participants, chatting by participants. You can turn off the chat tool. You can prevent people from renaming themselves.
For some reason, it's not on next to my video machine. It's blank. The security tab is not on my lower blank.
This little security link, that
It's missing.
probably means your Zoom client is out of date. They added this relatively recently to the Zoom client.
Huh.
And you can update that. Sooner or later, Zoom will force you to update it.
How do you update it?
Oh, and I'm sorry, and you're not seeing it right now because you're not the host.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Only the host has access to it. Sorry, it took me a minute to figure,
All right. That
figure
makes
out
sense.
where that was coming from. I thought you meant you couldn't see it when you were the host.
No, that
No,
makes sense.
you wouldn't see that as a participant because you don't want your participants to have that kind of control.
No.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Oh. Take care, everyone. I'll keep answering questions as long as anybody's here and has them. So
I
let me
have
know.
one.
Good, Randy.
Yes, sir. When we first come on with you in the morning, when we first come on with you, you mute everyone. So after you do that, we're allowed to come back in and unmute ourselves to speak with you. So my question is, how do you mute everyone? And then do you have to do something special to let us unmute ourselves after the fact?
To mute the fastest way to mute everyone is to go to the participants tool in the Zoom menu.
Okay.
Which is at the bottom of the screen.
Okay.
If you click on that, this little box pops up, which shows you a list of everybody who's in the meeting. But at the bottom of that box is a button labeled Mute All. So you click that and then say yes. But you notice there's a little checkbox here that says allow participants to unmute themselves.
Mm-hmm.
If you uncheck that before you say yes, then people can't unmute themselves.
They cannot or they can?
They cannot.
Oh, so you have to push no to let them come back in?
Yeah. You have to go back and do this again, but make sure that's checked.
So what you do is you push mute all, and then if you want to let them back in on their own, you push no, huh?
Well, no, if you want to let them back in, let them come back in on their own, you don't have to do anything because that's the default. That's checked by default. You just say yes, and then everybody will be muted, but they can unmute themselves.
So you just push mute all initially and then push yes after the fact, and they can come back in when they wish.
Correct.
Thank you. I'm actually starting to understand some of this. That's what I said.
Yeah. We'll leave it at that, right?
Yeah.
I won't jump up and down. Okay. Patty.
Oh, yeah, the chat. To save the chat, I know where that little button is to save it. Where does it go once it gets saved?
It goes to, and it'll tell you, as a matter of fact, like if I go and save my chat right now, and I'm sharing my screen. It gives you this little green bar for a minute, and
No,
there's a
I
link.
don't. When I press it, I don't get that at all. Maybe it's because I have a Mac. Is that why?
I don't get it all the time either.
I don't think so.
But I get it once in a while. I don't know why.
But whoops, I just closed the chat tool. Sorry about that. In any case, it always goes to the same place.
Okay.
It goes to your, whoops, let me get that out of the way. It goes to your default documents folder on PC or Mac.
Okay.
And it goes into a folder called Zoom, which is created automatically when you save the chat the first time. If you don't already have that folder, it will create it.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
If you open that up, there are a bunch of subfolders in there for every Zoom meeting that you've ever recorded or saved the chat from.
Oh, wow.
And you can tell which meeting a folder represents by looking at the date. Here's the meeting we're in right now, 7:31, started just before 10 a.m. It uses 24-hour time, though. So this is the meeting we're in right now. If I open that up, here's my meeting saved chat.txt. That's my chat log that I just saved. If I just double click that, it's just a text file and it just opens up. And there's our chat log for this meeting.
Oh, very cool. Thank you.
And Kathy, you notice I have these same two files that you had. When I end this meeting, those will automatically convert to an MPEG-4 video, and I hope the same will be true for yours. I think it should be.
Okay. In fact, I'll do it right now. I'll leave and come
All
back.
righty. Take care. All righty. Any other questions?
Dave.
Looks like I'm landing on the moon now.
Hi, Dave.
Hi there.
Yeah. I have a question. Can you show me how to set up the personal meeting? Because yesterday I tried to do that, but there's nothing to do with the confer Zoom.
Okay.
Just give me the
First
Zoom
off, if you're using the Confer Zoom app in Canvas, you can't use your personal meeting room.
Oh, so how can you set up like the one that you're using? So that means every time that we have the same code for students.
Right. So
can you repeat that, please? You cannot.
Yes.
What?
If you are using in Canvas, let me show you what I mean. If you're in Canvas, in a Canvas course, there it is.
Yeah, I set up yesterday.
Okay, if you're using this app,
Uh-huh.
you can't use your personal meeting room
Oh, so how?
because they have set it up so you have to have a unique meeting ID for each different meeting
Uh-huh.
as a security measure, and they don't give you an option to disable that, which is enough to make me not use that app at all.
How do you not use it?
So to use your personal meeting room, you have to function outside this Confer Zoom app. You just remove it from your course menu.
Uh-huh.
And you can start a meeting in Zoom by going to your personal meeting, go to the meetings tab or the meetings link at the Zoom website and go to your personal meeting room.
Yeah, that's what I.
And if you're not already in a meeting, as I am right now, this blue button right here will say Start Meeting. And you just click that button and you'll start a meeting in your personal meeting room.
Where is that button?
Well, it's right there. You see where it says join now?
Yeah, I have that.
If you're not in a meeting, it will say start meeting. But the button is the same place, exactly, looks exactly the same. The words inside it are just different.
Where is join now? I don't see that. What the heck?
Oh, let's see. It's probably underneath those video.
Oh, yeah,
There
there
you
it
go.
is.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thanks for letting me know. That's one way to start a meeting in your personal meeting room. Another way to do that is to go to settings, and under meeting settings, make sure that you enable personal meeting ID, make sure that's turned on, and that these next two options are turned on. Use personal meeting ID when scheduling a meeting, and use personal meeting ID when starting an instant meeting. If you have these three turned on, then no matter how you start the meeting, you'll be in your personal meeting room. And your students will be able to use your personal meeting link to access your meeting. Unless you use that Confer Zoom app, which overrides this, which just endlessly ticks me off. So I just don't use the damn thing.
Dave?
But yes.
Okay, so, on the page where it says, copy the link, that you send to your students.
Right.
Is that going to be the same link as your personal meeting room?
If you have these set.
Oh, okay.
It will be. Or if you go directly into your personal meeting room by going to meetings and personal meeting room and copy the invitation from here, then that will also make it be your personal meeting room link for sure. No matter whether you have those settings set that way or not.
But how can I?
Now,
Steve?
Yes.
No. Yeah, I know. I come up with the meeting ID, but how can we have an inviting link with the CC Confer Zoom? So that's mean we can use it every time.
If you're using the Confer Zoom app in Canvas, you can't use your personal meeting.
I use the regular, the Zoom US.
But you can put a link to your personal meeting room into your Canvas course menu. Like I have one right here.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, did
If
you
I click
add
on that, I had to add that.
Oh.
Can you show us how to disable it?
Well, there's two questions: how to disable the Confer Zoom app, and then how to add your own link.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. In both cases, you go to settings within the course and go to the settings link in your course menu in Canvas. Then you go to the navigation tab in the course settings in Canvas, and you go to the Confer Zoom link and you drag that down below this line, and that hides it from students.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, that way they can't use it.
Okay.
Now and then you have to save that change. That's one of the circumstances where you have to save a change in Canvas. You don't always have to, but in this case you do. So that gets rid of the Confer Zoom app. Now, if you want to put a link like this one I have here into your course menu that links to your personal meeting room, you go to under settings, still under settings in your course, you go to the apps tab. and click on Installed, which prevents you from having to sort through about 1 million apps that you can't use anyway. And you're looking for this blue arrow, the right swooshy arrow. That's called the redirect tool. You click on that, and then you click Add App. And I have a tutorial for this on that on-demand website, but you click Add App. It's really pretty simple. You change the name from redirect tool to something having to do with Zoom, like Zoom PMR, Zoom Personal Meeting Room. Or I'm just naming, I could just name it Zoom, but I've already done that. So I have a duplicate. But just name it something that will tell your students what this is, like My Zoom Meeting Room. I like that.
Or Zoom link, isn't that what you had on there?
Yeah, Zoom link. Teachers, Zoom Meeting Room. Then you need your join link for your personal meeting room to put into this URL redirect box here. Let me make this a little bigger and be easier to see.
Thanks.
Yeah, it helps me too. Okay, now you get that from your meeting information in the Zoom website. When you go into your personal meeting room, here's your invite link.
Oh, okay.
I've customized mine. Yours will have a number at the end, probably. But it works the same either way. You copy that to your clipboard, and then you go back to Canvas and you paste that into this URL redirect box so that Zoom knows where your personal meeting room is, or Canvas knows where your personal meeting room is, sorry. Then be sure you check Show in Course Navigation so that it appears in your course menu. And then you just add the app. If I now refresh the screen, I now have Teachers Zoom Meeting Room down here at the bottom. And the students can just click on that and go right in and open it in a new tab. It forces that. And now if I click, if I'm not already in a Zoom meeting and I click Open Zoom Meetings, I'll go right into the personal meeting room. And the students can do that. They don't have to remember, they don't have to have a Zoom link saved somewhere. They don't have to remember a meeting ID or anything like that.
Oh, cool.
They just click on that
Dave,
link and bam, they go right into your personal meeting room.
What's the name of the tutorial that you were referring to in your
Let me
archives?
find that for you. That's a good question. I'm just trying to remember that myself. I'll find it here in just a second. Here we go.
Because you have tutorials on just about anything.
There are a few in here. You can always narrow it down just by typing Zoom, but let me think. Zoom and Canvas together, I think we'll do it. Simple Zoom integration in Canvas.
Thank you.
I maybe need to rename that so it's a little clearer what that is, but that shows you how to do what I just showed you how to do.
Thank you.
Simple Zoom integration in Canvas. That's the easiest way to integrate Zoom into Canvas that doesn't involve using the Confer Zoom app, but still allows you to use your personal meeting room. And I can't imagine using Zoom without using my personal meeting room. And I've held hundreds and hundreds of Zoom meetings over the years. And I've had somebody to break in and try to disrupt one of those meetings one time. And it was right at the height of all the hysteria, right after everybody went online suddenly, and Zoom usage went from 20,000 a day to 300,000 a day and so on. Somebody tried to break in, and it was, what did he name himself? Professor Hanky Panky.
Oh my God.
Notice I just assume it was a he. Yeah. But you know, I threw him out in about 10 seconds, and it was no big deal. But it just doesn't happen. It's very, very, very rare.
Can we throw students out of our Zoom meetings if we don't recognize them?
Yeah, or if they're disruptive, certainly, yeah.
What if we don't recognize their names and we ask them to rename themselves and nothing?
Oh yeah, if in your judgment they're not complying, you can certainly,
Yeah.
you know, you control, just as you control your own classroom, you control your own Zoom meetings.
No, I meant, is it legal for us to do that as DCCD?
I can't imagine how it would not be acceptable for you to control your own classroom.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But I'm not the controlling authority on questions like that either. That would be your dean or your department head.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I certainly wouldn't hesitate to throw someone out who didn't respond and didn't comply. Yes, Randy.
Okay, I have one last question, then I've got to run, but it's an important question to me. If I'm in Zoom, so I send you a link for a Zoom meeting, and I open up and have a meeting in Zoom, and at that point, I'm just asking, I'm not sure what so at that point, does my face take up the entire screen and you'll be in the little boxes on the side because I invited you in and I'm holding a meeting?
It depends on what view option the student has picked. If they pick speaker view, which is the default, they'll see you full screen.
Right.
And they'll see other people above you in little thumbnails.
Right.
Okay. If they pick gallery view, they'll see that Hollywood Squares looking, and that's controlled by them. You can't control that.
Okay, and my second and last question is, the other day I spoke to you and told you I've got a disc with my blueprints on it and I want to utilize that in my Zoom meetings. So let's assume I'm in a Zoom meeting and I got X number of students that are in there, and now I want to bring in my blueprints and present it to them on Zoom. So I put my disc in my machine. After I put the disc in, I click on that and bring up that entity, which is the blueprints. How do I bring that to Zoom to show it to my students?
You just share your screen.
Oh, that's all?
That's all there is to it. Remember, with screen sharing, your students see whatever you see on your
so I just put the disc in my machine and bring up the blueprints on my own screen, and they can't see it. Then I screen share, and they can see it then. Is that the case?
That's it.
Wow, well, yeah, I learned so much today. I'm not kidding you.
You're getting this.
I'm going to be a real geek one of these days soon.
I tell you, it's amazing how quick you become an expert in this stuff.
All kidding aside, I have learned a lot in the last couple of days compared to what I had 3 or 4 days back. I mean, I'm learning. I'm finally starting to pick up on stuff, and I appreciate your help.
I am
I
thrilled.
appreciate your help too, Dave.
I am just thrilled to hear that. Thank you.
Okay, I've got to run. Thanks for your help.
You bet, Randy. And let me know when I can help.
Okay,
all right.
Bye.
Take care.
All right.
I'm still answering questions. Go ahead.
Oh, I saved the video, by the way. It did save, like you said.
All right. Thank you very much for letting me know. That's a new datum for me.
But you're right, I had to leave.
Thank you very much.
And then it popped up and automatically rendered the video. Cool.
Yes.
Good to know. Thank you.
But it does the audio faster, and it was first.
Yeah. Okay, anybody else? Looks like almost everybody's muted. If you're trying to ask a question, be sure to unmute yourself.
Well, I have a question then.
Yes.
All right. So I think in the chat room, I think the thing was I had to request from the host, but the thing is, did you have to be in the chat room at the time I requested, or could you have seen it even if you were in another chat room? Because I kept sitting, like when I was asking to tape the video, to videotape our chat room, did you see it only when you were in our chat room, or
I would only see that if I were in your chat, in your breakout room.
Breakout room, yes.
Yeah.
You didn't see
That's
it with
correct.
breakout rooms.
But you can use that button where you request help, and then I can come in and then give you that capability.
Yeah, I think me and I think Ardith or someone else also pressed request host, and it said,
Yeah, there were several requests for help from meeting room number 4. I knew I had issues in breakout room number 4, but I was getting to you as quickly as I could.
Okay, so you could see it in another room and it tells you which breakout room. That's good to know too.
Yes, it tells me which breakout room it tells me who's requested the help and which breakout room they're in.
Okay, just like in classroom, you have groups and people are raising their hand. That's good to know.
Excuse me, I'm not sure where to find that feature, like in breakout rooms. Do you right click on something to get
No,
there?
I believe it's just a button that shows up.
Oh.
When you're the host, you'll see it.
No, but when students want to request help.
Right,
where do they click?
if you're a participant in a breakout room, there's a button that you can click to request help.
It was at the bottom, whoever asked it.
Yeah, it was at the bottom of the window.
Okay, thank you.
I came back and I was going to miss them.
You were in my Ardith, you were in my chat, my breakout room, right? I think
Yeah, I have a recording too, but I haven't looked at it.
Okay, so we both were recording, and once I logged out, I was able to see. You logged out, and you haven't seen it yet, but it did save.
Yeah, it did say there was right away that it was right there. It was like doing it.
Okay, so more than two.
And Ardith, when you leave the meeting, it should automatically render that video and put it into that folder on your. In
Yeah,
your
I think
document.
I saw it there already.
Cool.
Yeah. So cool, and more than one student can do it. That's good to know too.
Yeah, because that's all done locally, so
you
it
have
doesn't
to allow
affect the meeting as a whole.
Yeah, I mean but can you allow just one student at a time rather than all students? That part I don't remember if that's what the host could do.
You have to do student by student. You can allow more than one student to record, but you have to do them one at a time.
But the student has to ask permission or ask.
Yeah.
Yeah, normally.
Okay, got it.
Because I would want students to be able to record their speech, but not necessarily everyone's speech.
Right. Well, you control that.
Okay.
Well, that's an idea. That would be good. That would be a good lesson.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess
idea sharing here. That's wonderful.
I'm going again. Everybody have a good weekend.
It's good to know more than one person, because I'm glad you were also taping. I thought it was you.
Yeah, it was me. I taped it right away. So anyway.
All righty.
All right. Thank you, Dave.
Thanks,
My
Dave.
pleasure.
And everyone else, awesome.
Okay. I think that's left for me. Yep.